Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of INAP podcast. My name is Sunuja, and today I'm joined by my friend Meg Sham Surya, who will help co-host the session. I hope everyone is keeping safe and sorry, taking care of themselves and family. So let's move on to the topic. Today we are going to talk about social engineering. It is a very important topic considering how organizations and individuals are at an increased risk of hacker attacks these days. You may well be aware of the recent coordinated attacks at Twitter, where the Twitter account of several famous individuals in the US, including Barack Obama, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, were actually taken over, and confusing messages were actually sent out from their accounts. Now, the attackers could have actually caused much more havoc than just asking for Bitcoin information. But what was most striking was the fact that Twitter was totally helpless initially, and it had to suspend its activities for many hours to prevent further attacks. Um, Now, I think Twitter's internal investigation has actually revealed that the attackers tricked some of their employees into giving their credentials. And now I think FBI has opened an investigation into the matter over national security concerns. Now, when such a high profile IT company as Twitter couldn't avoid such a social engineering attack, we can understand how vulnerable smaller organizations and individuals can be to them. So it is very important to be aware of what includes as social engineering and how to prevent such attacks and keep us safe in the digital environment. To discuss all this, we have with us Roger Sushilan, who is the Senior Manager IT Services at INAP, and he's an expert on cybersecurity. He has 14 years of IT experience and has worked in some major companies like IBM and Allianz. He is also one of the organizers of DevCon Trivandrum chapter, which is a notable hacker conference, and he's a passionate advocate of cybersecurity. So without much further ado, let me hand it over to my co-host for this podcast.
Thank you, Sunuja. Thank you, Roger, for joining us on this podcast. As Sunuja said, this is something very important, and all the time we hear on internet something going on, people being hacked, their accounts being emptied, and their reputation being tarnished. So something is very important, and we decided to have the podcast on this. And why not start with something very basic, even though most people may be aware of this, maybe knowing this, but still it's always better to get to know it from an expert like you, Rosa. And so tell us, what is social engineering, and then how does it work?
Okay, first of all, giving the answer. So, thank you, Meek and Sunuja, for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So, Meek, so you asked me about social engineering. So, let me start with that question. So, did you know that the hackers can get into your machine without doing any hacking? It means that technically or what using the vulnerable machine vulnerabilities. So the answer is yes. So in such attempts, they build the hackers, they build trust and trick you into sharing your personal information to the hackers and rerouting to different links of infected websites or unknowingly allowing hackers to install malicious software on your computers. And to a successful carry out of a social engineering attacks, many hackers rely on their victims or potential victims' willingness to help, and similarly, they may try to exploit victims' lack of technical knowledge. In most cases, the hackers conducted research on the potential target before they attacking. So, in the social engineering, or is a main part of every cyber attacks. So it can be divided into two, like individual targets on business target. Let me talk about the individual targets on the basis of social engineering. So in this, it's involved thorough check of the victims social media accounts for any personal information they have already shared, and including their birthdays. We all have the habit of publishing our birthdays and everything in the social networking sites. So that is one of the source for the information, and the email address, like I said, and phone numbers and the places they most visit. and the process somewhat is different for the business target. The hackers needed someone in the organization to gather the intelligence about the enterprise and operations, employee structure, and a list of senior members and clients and etc. And these attackers most of the time target junior to mid-level employees who have all the access to this information. Hackers will either trick the target into sharing the information voluntarily or act or infect their computer with malicious software that will monitor their network activity and at the back end that send details report to the hackers. And in short, I can say that using the social engineering techniques, collecting information about the target before contacting. That's a prime uh, method for this kind of attacks.
Okay, Roger. Now I understand that hackers, what they do is they get, I mean, they do a recce of an individual or an organization, and they know about them, and using that information, actually, they attack them. They organize their social engineering attacks. Now we understand that actually what is social engineering and how it works. And now we want to understand it a little better. And now, would you like to share with us a few examples from your professional experience and some well-known social engineering attacks that were in news recently? The one Sunuja has already talked about. Maybe you can talk about some other famous attacks.
Yeah, maybe yes. So you asked me a big question. So because there are a lot of cyber attacks going on every year. If you look at the news, all the news, it's from started from 1998 or from this 2020. So there are many attacks are out there. And however, I'd like to give an example of financial scam because I will tell you why. Why I'm choose this example. So this is one of the famous social engineering attacks happened in 2015. It's basically a financial scam to the company called Ubiquity Networks INCs. So in that incident, the attackers, I mean the cyber criminals, we should call them the cyber criminals, they use the method called BEC. That's when business email compromise. So in that kind of attack, so attackers, what did they pretend as a senior executive of that company, and they send an email to their financial department to change the account number of vendors of their Hong Kong subsidiary. So in the financial department, they saw this email and received from their one of the senior executive asking for change the details of their vendors and transfer the amount to the particular account. So because it was from their senior executive, they didn't check much and they nothing did. They didn't cross check. So they transfer the amount to the accounts mentioned in the email uh, because and to the accounts, and that other accounts are actually maintained by the hackers across the globe. So in that incident, they had lost around $47 million according to the news, and they have recovered later something few. And so I said why I chose this example because so similar kind of attempt hack happened in my company or our organization last year. So it was similar to they sent an email from say senior executive of another company, and these attackers sent an email to the financial department, and they saw that that is an emergency request for transferring some money, and they started the process, and in between they found that or they're suspicious about the email they got received. So then they cross-checked the actual person, and they found that it was actually wrong, and he didn't request any such request. They stopped all the process, and we saved that from that attack. So it's very much related to this and this ubiquity incident to ours.
So I think you are very alert, and your alertness actually saved our company some damage that those kind
Yeah,
of hackers could have done us. Mhm.
yeah. Same time, yeah, he forwarded to us, and we also cross-checked, and it was found that it was the malicious email.
Yeah, I understand actually. I mean, these social attacks can wreak havoc on our, systems, and they can empty our accounts, organizations' accounts. So that important question now comes up is, like hackers, actually, social engineers must also be keeping their tactics in tune with times. They must also be evolving, making their moves more advanced and tactics more advanced, and making their methods more sophisticated, certainly. So, what do you think are the recent trends in social engineering? Kind of attacks are more common nowadays.
Well, phishing is the most common way for the way for the social engineering attacks. So because most of the cases, or if you look at the records or look at the news, if you all the time is happening, and the most of the before attacking the servers, directly attacking the servers, it is very difficult, technically speaking. So this social engineering attack is one of the most fruitful way. So and phishing is one of them. And here attackers always look for the basic information like username, password for the malicious activities. And most of the time it's happening through emails and web links, sometimes instant message. If you look at the phone you right now, you'll see a lot of links in your SMS. Or if you hope you remember that in the past we got a lot of links in the Skype. So it is some similar kind of attacks. And so according to one of the major cybersecurity firm, they released a report 2 3 months back, saying that 97% of these attacks happening through emails, and 3% through instant mails, messages, and 1% over the phones. And if you're saying about the phishing attack, there are a lot of techniques are available, but I just want to highlight a few of them. Like one is spear phishing. So spear phishing is actually target specific or individuals. It's like it's if you, for example, I want to attack you, so you're a victim and I'm an attacker. So if I want to get that some details from you, I use spear phishing. That means I'm targeted one. So what are the things or content I'm drafting that's specifically for you? So that is called fair phishing and baiting. So again, the hacker can leave malware infected USB stick or at victim text. Like so here, for example, you are a victim. So if I want to hack you, so as a human, we have tendency to see so what inside of something at our place. So I can put my USB drive to your desk, and you will see that okay, some disk. So what is the? I want to know that the content inside. So definitely you'll insert that USB stick in your laptop or in your personal machine. So in that time actually it's happening. It's the some programs will run in the background and to transfer the content to my server or where I am hosting. Another one is pre-texting. It's designed to grab targets' attention to hook them in. For example, you heard about the Nigerian princess stories in the past, like the princess want to share some money to you, and for the processing, so you have to transfer some money. That's called pre-texting kind of attacks. And the other one is contact spamming. Uh, it is like so I want to attack so at a larger group, and for example for the in the in-app, so I can able to if I can able to attack you, and you from your email ID and accessing the your email ID, and try to fetch all your contacts in your list, and try to send all the spamming emails to all of them. So it's including your customers and your uh, personal details and everything, personal people. So that way, that's called contact spamming. And other one is whaling or SEO fraud. That is, it's like beyond big fishes, like saying that if you send an email as a CEO, so like I said before, the financial scam happened in the ubiquity, and somebody tried to do the same in a, so that's called again. So I'm pretend as a CEO or someone else, then definitely you'll respond to that email what I'm saying without questioning. That's called that kind of types called CEO fraud or whaling. And Yeah, from my own experience, I would like to share another incident. So a couple of weeks back, it's just couple of weeks back, so our one of senior management received an email, and it was saying that it was from IT department and to reset the password. So, and it contains that email contains some links to reset the password, but he identified that the email inside the content and looked like and everything which was not like we used to send. So he suspected that and he forwarded to us, and we verified that it was actually not from us, and the email and link we checked, that was redirected to some malicious link. So we replied to him that okay, so ignore that, and so that way he saved his account. Otherwise, all kind of attacks can happen, like spear phishing, baiting, everything can happen.
Okay, so today, I mean, with Roger, we are learning a lot of technical stuff. Okay, spear, phishing, baiting, and pretexting, so many things. And we, along with our listeners, are learning a lot. In fact, we are making us more secure. Now, Roger, we are going through a pandemic, and people are living under stressful conditions and in a particularly unpredictable situation. And recently, I mean, 2 months back, we had our first podcast with our president, Satish Babu, and he spoke on cybersecurity during the pandemic. Uh, now, we like to discuss with you a little on this. What do you think are the social engineers taking advantage of the pandemic? Are they doing something harmful to people?
So here, see, this pandemic is actually a good time for these attackers to initiate, or it's like it's like the best time for them. And this new wave of cyber attack by utilizing the widespread panic situation across the globe. If you look at the email headlines, number of incidents are actually rising day by day. So let me uh, give you some examples on this. So if you look, hope you remember that the 3 months back we have seen that many news articles or news coming up from saying that okay, so the attacks are happening and people are losing money, and they are victim of the fraud. So so there is one incident like the about Android application. So at the beginning of this pandemic situation, these attacks, some of the attackers created an Android application and shared that application through web links and chats. And that application, it's for to know the real time dashboard for the virus spreading across the globe. So people try to install that, and they try to install, and they can see the dashboards. But in the beginning, at the back end, they have injected some malicious software in that, and it's acting as a support service in that mobile phones or devices, and start collecting and sending to uh, the hackers. So this is a one. Other one is like fake campaigns. So we you know that at this situation, the many organizations like hospital NGOs are doing a good job, and these hackers using that uh, labels for attacking the people, because they're trying to create a different fake links and sending to that people for asking money, and they're started doing that transferring for helping others. So this is one of the attack. And other one is like creating a fake e-commerce sites for the mask, sanitized tissues, and etc. So people, you know that there was in the beginning of this pandemic, there was a lot of shortage in these items. So we found that okay, and the people, as a people, they found that some websites having all these items. Then they started buying all this, and at the end, they didn't receive any of these products, but the money transferred to the hacker's account. So these are the examples, and for the how they utilize this the panic situation across the globe. And so so another incident like it's happened in Mumbai. So one of the startup promoter, he became a victim of this kind of social engineering attack. So how this happened, they had like this attacker uh, researched his friends list, and he this that attacker took one of his friend details from the social media, like I said before. So for phone numbers, email IDs, even the photos they create using that they created the fake profile, and using that he had a conversation with this victim, and he said that he is in a trouble at the Middle East, and he wants some urgent financial aid from his friend. And so without cross checking again this person, he transferred the money to that account he mentioned, and later he found that that whole the money is goes because it was not the actual person. So another one is every day there is happening a lot of this kind of attacks, but many of the attacks are not that famous uh, because the money we are losing at small amount. If you think about like I'm losing $100, then it is not a problem. It's a small money, so I don't bother about registering a complaint to the police departments. So if you think about, then this attacker attacking thousands of people, so this attacker get the huge money. So this is another method of this time, actually this COVID period, the attackers utilizing. And heard that I've read some news and like more than 1,000 cases reported till this time, and many of them are like a small amounts, and there is no cases filed with FIRs with the police. So this is not that kind of cases won't come up in the news, and we don't never know that.
So yeah, it's true actually. Even in normal conditions, people are more vulnerable to social engineering attacks or hacking. Now, when conditions are so bad, so they are more vulnerable. Now, this brings us to our next question, because so far what I understand is people, they give out their information because they are not very careful, or they don't cross-check when someone asks them for something. And in this regard, I think it becomes very, very important to know what individuals can do to avoid being tricked through social engineering. I mean, what steps they must take. You know that stakes are involved very huge, and there are financial transactions. So, what do you think, Roger, here?
So the online answer how to protect yourself, then you have to learn how to protect. It's like so be suspicious of unsolicited phone calls, emails from individuals asking about your information. So always cross check, and do not provide personal information or about your family details, including your friends. Don't ask give any information to anyone you don't never know. And also cross check the person who asking all this information actually eligible to know this kind of information. And in the online you check website security, and it must be HTTPS. You will see that some padlock icon in the browser, and you always check that before doing any kind of financial transactions. And if you unsure, then if you're getting some emails, then if you're unsure that email about and the person, please do not reply to that. And make sure your machine is properly protected by installing antivirus software, firewalls, and email filters, and etc. So always cautious about all these things, and read the news, so you will know that the latest trend of attacks, and you can, by that way you can protect yourself. And and what you do once you or attacked, or you become a victim of this kind of attacks. So if you accidentally provide any information about someone, or about yourself, like then you have to immediately contact and tell him for example, it's your friend, then can you can tell him that somebody asked about your information, and I accidentally provided that. So you can inform them anyway. And if you accidentally again reveal your financial details, then immediately contact the financial institute, and watch for financial activities for some time, because you never know. And immediately change the passwords, uh, you might have revealed. And and people have tendency to use the same password for across all their accounts. That's common, still is there. So you have to change all the passwords immediately to avoid any other kind of attack. And if possible, consider reporting this kind of attacks to the police department.
Roger, this brings us to another important question. This is about countermeasures or preemptive actions that we should take, organizations and individuals should take to protect their systems against social engineering attacks.
So a best line of defense against social engineering is training, and train your employees and train yourself to identify social engineering attacks. Uh, it's like if considering the organization, never reveal any information unless you can validate the person who asking for the information. And you may get a lot of calls regarding how many machines you have in your organization and what are the operating systems and what are the softwares using in your organization. So if you don't know that the person is actually from the authentic from the actual company, or if you don't know anything about that, please don't provide that. And again, that if you are not allowed to do that, so you can contact, right, you can tell him that so contact IT department for that. So whatever the reason you cannot provide, or any other employees they are not allowed to provide, and they must aware of all these things. And other one is like be careful while sharing the things in the social engineering. Do not provide any kind of details in the social engineering. Sorry, social networking sites. And other one is like in the organization, for the smaller organization. So even it's a very small organization is like below 100 or 50. Every employee knows each other, but in the case of the medium companies, like it's more than 100 to 200, 300, 400 employees company, there are less chance to know everyone. So in that case, the companies or somebody who you can validate the employees. If you, for example, so you are going to enter the office premise, so and suddenly one person is standing and near to your uh, the secure door, and he is asking for help. So it's like, I forget my ID card, so then can you help me to get in? So as a human being, and willing to help, so what you will do, I have seen that, and the people simply open using their card, so their ID cards. So please do not do that, because every company have the alternate system for people who are forget to take the ID card. So redirect them to that particular security desk or front office. So they have to share the information or any other details, or they have to get the permission from the higher officers to get in. So redirect to them. So don't allow or don't help them anyone to get in. And other one is in the emails, we always carefully look on the details. For example, uh, it's for example, if you are in a business department, you will see that, okay, so some important mails, some more attachments from the clients, and saying that, okay, you have to they open these details to read that. So I have seen that, like the payments details, for that, but these kind of mails not coming from usually from the clients. And always cross check the from email IDs, and look at the content, how the content look like from the actual or previous mail. And always and don't respond to that email if you are not aware of the email IDs. That is the one thing. And classify your information. Don't put your important document at dusk or unattended way. So make sure it is, even if it is hard copy or soft copy, keep it in a proper way. And train all employees to handle how to protect the company assets. And other one is like the proper system for the document destructions and the digital assets. For example, the hard disk. So so some hard disk got damaged during the the warranty period. So please do not send it for the warranty or to replace it. Just destroy the hard disk and put the new one. So that kind of policy. This is an example. One example. So that kind of policies we have to create, and then creating social engineering awareness program at a particular interval. So people have a tendency to forget after some time. So there must be some refreshment programs for to brush up their minds. So these are the points we can. So we must follow all these strategies in our organization.
Okay, now we understand what countermeasures organizations and individuals can take to protect themselves. And when we talk about social engineering, Roger, we frequently hear a term, something like reverse social engineering. So what is reverse social engineering?
Yeah. Uh, yeah, we have discussed about all about social engineering. So this reverse social engineering actually had two parts. It's slightly different from the social engineering. Even the reverse social engineering, the social engineering attack is the first part. Okay, so you know that the word social engineering now. So in the reverse social engineering, so attackers try to fetch the information and correct for the attacks. Here, first they contact these victims and sharing the details to the victims and saying that so anytime you can contact me for any kind of help. For example, so make so I'm an attacker and you are the victim, and actually I'm contacting you for you kind of some kind of technical support, so like for example hardware support or laptop, any kind of laptop uh, repair or anything replacement, so you can contact me, so I'll provide any details to you. So then I'll walk away from there. So after some time, so you'll see that you will face some problems in your laptop, or you want to procure a new laptop, or you want to do something in your machine. So you'll definitely contact me, because I contact approach you for first. And convinced saying that I'm the best, I'm one of the best. So yeah, and good approach. So definitely you'll call me for the help. So in that case, actually, so what I'll do, I will ask you many information, like sometimes your username and password, and you definitely share to me, because you trust me best, because you approach me and you trust me, and you should provide all the details. This is a mindset. So in between I will ask many things related to that, then you provide all the details, I will note down whatever I want, and using that I will start and I will initiate and attack later. This is the basics of social engineering, reverse social engineering, and it's in this way it's happening. And so you will see that or okay, I can take you as example. So maybe if you want to call your credit card, so let's say SBI, State Bank of India credit card, so what you will do, you normally Google it, right? Instead of typing the State Bank of India website and searching the customer care support number, instead of that you will search in the Google and you will see some numbers uh, in the list, in the top of the list. So you will pick that number, you will call the number mentioned or displayed in the Google search result. So in that case, the hacker setup, that may not be an individual, it's a group of hackers, it's there, and they will try to answer you like not exactly, but it's like customer care support, and they will ask you sometimes for example, you want to upgrade your credit card limits. So for that, they will ask you for the verification, as part of the verification, so they'll ask you your card number and date of birth, address, and everything. So that's you may notice that, so they won't give you the details of your address, they'll ask you to please, for the verification purpose, you have to tell your address mentioned in the credit card, and date of birth, and then the credit card number sometimes. So in that way they'll collect. So then after some time, as part of the verification and increasing limit, they will convince you that they are going to send some OTP details, some OTP, and you have to share. And most of the time, so based on the incident, the people never read that SMS. They only look for the OTP number and they share. So you're done. So this is another example for this reverse social engineering. And other one is like fake posters at the some in the streets and the company not website, it's the posters. So you'll sometimes you can fetch that details and you can take the photos. I did that some many times. So but and after that, if you have some problems, you can call to these numbers. But sometimes it is not the actual person, it is like a fake person or attacker who's trying to collecting information. So so we have to so in that case we have to aware, and we have to practice like that to go and check the real website and always cross check the person uh, is a genuine person or is doing this business or tech support.
Meg, Roger, I think it's time for us to wrap up the session. So, Meg, can you go ahead and ask the final question and conclude?
Roger, yeah, it's been a very informative session for us. So far, what I think is your focus has been on training, education, awareness. So people, whoever works on computer, uses internet, they must be trained, they must be educated, and should be aware about social engineering and how they can be tricked. So now this brings us to our last question, because your focus has been on training. So what do you think is the best way of training for for cybersecurity?
In the cybersecurity, there is no shortcut. First of all, so you have to make sure the cybersecurity awareness is a first priority. And if going deep down, so for example, even for the individual or personal or your family members, your friends, and or in the case of organization, so password security, it's the best things, one of the best things. So make sure that the password is protected always, and follow the password guidelines and the best practices for the organizations. And train your employees to recognize phishing and other kind of social engineering attacks. And for the organization, make cybersecurity as part of onboarding. So that people know that there are certain kind of policies and procedures are there, and they will know that they will follow them, and conduct practice sessions and exams for our employees. So they will know that. So they will keep everything in their mind all the time. And mock attacks, like mock phishing attacks or social engineering attacks, to people to experience that. So in that way, they never forget. Others never forget. So if you then once you give such kind of trainings, the next time onwards they will identify that kind of attacks, and they'll prevent, they'll save from these kind of attacks.
Okay, so I think it will be very, very informative session for our listeners, and it was to us also. So if I pick out three important keywords from this podcast, is then there are three, like awareness and alertness and attention. As you say that, we all the stakeholders have to be aware about social engineering, and we have to be alert to any social engineering attacks, and then we have to pay attention before replying to any email or anything on internet. Roger, thank you very much for joining us on this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.